What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Video Creator Podcast, where we talk about everything in regards to YouTube. And my name is Augie Johnston. I'm here with my co-host, Grant Ball. And this episode is brought to you by VidChops, which allows you to take the burden of editing totally off your hands. So if you want some help with your video editing for YouTube or any kind of online video, check out vidchops.com. With that said, let's go ahead and get right into today's episode. Metrics, analytics, numbers, all that kind of stuff. It can be a little daunting, a little confusing at first. So this episode today, we're going to kind of help clear the air and kind of give you guys some insight on what really is important when it comes to your YouTube analytics. You know, I'll give YouTube some credit because they give you a lot of analytics, right? You log into that YouTube studio and you look around and you're just kind of like overwhelmed a lot of times. So let's go ahead and take a look today at an article that was presented by vidIQ. vidIQ is a tool that a lot of YouTubers use that helps you kind of grow your channel and gives you kind of like more insight on keywords and a whole bunch of other stuff. And so on their website, they have a blog, and this blog right here is titled YouTube Channel Analytics, the 6 most important video metrics. So in today's podcast, we'll take a look and kind of give our take on each one of these metrics and let you know if we think that it's important or not. So Grant, I guess my first question to you is, as far as your channel, Treesicle, which is, you know, almost to 1 million subscribers, how much time do you normally spend looking at your analytics?
Well, I think a lot of YouTubers would agree with me here. I spend a lot of time looking at analytics that maybe isn't super productive. It's almost like checking social media. You know, you can do it sort of habitually to waste time. Just like, ooh, I wonder what the numbers are like today. Maybe the slot machine decided to be nice to me and boost views on an old video for no reason, you know. But as far as like making good decisions based off analytics, yeah, I'd say it's like 10-20% of the job. It's important to look at them, but don't obsess over them. You know, if you obsess too much, then what you may end up doing is favoring numbers over your actual content. And a big issue with that, which we can kind of get into here, is the most important thing for you succeeding on YouTube is watch time. You know, how many minutes are people watching your videos? And, you know, one thing this article mentions is audience retention, which ties into watch time, of course. So if you're trying too hard to sell out or trying too hard to cover topics that you actually don't care that much about, just to make your analytics bigger, then bad things can happen. However, they can also help you hone in on really like areas that are not as tapped as they could be. So to answer your question, yeah, it's like I'd say 10-20% is kind of a good number to put out there so that you're looking at them, but not too much.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think it's important that you do look at them, but you can't just base everything on them because, you know, really to sum up the whole YouTube game is make good videos that people want to watch and watch all the way through, right? There it is, you guys. There's the secret. If you want to succeed on YouTube, if you want to get more views on YouTube, make better videos and just continue to make better and better videos. And the analytics can help guide you. So, you know, for me personally, I think one of my downfalls as a video creator on YouTube was that I just never really paid attention to my analytics. You know, it was like a competitive space, right? I was creating basketball training videos. You know, this is back in the day, there's probably, you know, 5-6 other people that were competitors or other people that were creating the same ones. And, you know, eventually my channel was not growing. And I think it's because I wasn't paying attention to my analytics. And also, you know, I was batch recording so many videos at a time that I never really made changes to like how I created my videos and stuff like that. And I didn't let the analytics guide me. So that's one regret I had. And that kind of brings me to my first point here. And one thing that I didn't pay enough attention to, and that was click-through rate. So click-through rate, CTR, if you don't know what it is, it's the percentage of people that actually see your YouTube thumbnail and the percentage of the people that actually click it. So when YouTube shows your thumbnail on the homepage, on a recommended sidebar, anywhere else to a user of YouTube, that's called an impression. And, you know, the percentage of people that see those impressions and click on them, that's your click-through rate. So there's a few different things. Grant, I guess I'll pass it to you. So what are like some of the most important things as far as in regards to click-through rate?
The most important thing is the thumbnail. Absolutely. Yeah. Obviously, title is important. You want a good, catchy title with good keywords, but the thumbnail is super important. I was actually just talking to one of my friends who is also a professional YouTuber, and he was saying that Game Theory, who you may have heard of, he has like, I don't know, many millions of subscribers in the gaming sphere, has a channel called Film Theory. Anyway, the guy who runs that was giving an interview about what it takes to succeed on YouTube. And they spend like a week making thumbnails. They'll start on Monday, I think he said, and then by like Wednesday they'll kind of have their first iteration of thumbnails, and they kind of just like tweak them throughout the week. And it takes a lot of time to make a truly phenomenal thumbnail. So just some kind of general advice with that. Faces work very well. We're all familiar with the stupid YouTube thumbnails of like over weird emotional faces like with like some catchy text. But the face thing does work, and there's a way to put a face without it being corny, obviously. But yes, I would say spend the most time on your thumbnails. It can be like, would you say, Augie, that they were ever an afterthought for you, or not even an afterthought, but you make this video, it takes all this time, you're uploading it, it's almost like the last thing you want to think about. It almost feels secondary. Did you ever sort of catch yourself thinking about thumbnails that way?
Totally. Like I said earlier, that was one of my downfalls, is I would get the video up and it was time for the thumbnail, and I would spend like 10 minutes on my thumbnails. I would take a screenshot, I would cut out the background real quick, change the color, throw some text on it. And a lot of times the text that I threw on my thumbnails was just reiterating the same thing in the title, which is not what you want to do. You want to kind of have the text in the thumbnail play off the title and maybe create some curiosity to it. And so, yeah, I mean, it is important. And one other thing that I'll add to click-through rate besides title, thumbnail, is topic. And that's the one that a lot of people overlook, and is, just your topic alone is going to affect the click-through rate. Because just a quick example, like let's just take it to the basketball space. Here's a topic: how to do a crossover. Okay, how to do it. That's a dribble move. How to do a crossover. If I change the topic, instead of teaching people how to do a crossover, and it was more like how to do the Allen Iverson crossover, that small tweak right there is a little bit better of a topic, a little bit more interesting, maybe a little bit more curiosity. Maybe not the best example, but you can see now, like if you open up YouTube and you look at the homepage, the videos that are getting recommended there are like off the wall, kind of bizarre topics for the most part. I mean, it depends on the content you watch, because the algorithm's going to recommend different videos based on what you watch. But I like to look at that homepage a lot of times and just look at the topics, because that's like where I think the creativity part comes in on YouTube, is like coming up with a good video topic, having a good thumbnail, and then having a good title. All three of those things together, if you do them well, then I think you'll have good click-through rate. And then you just got to deliver on the video. And I guess we can move on to the second metric, which is audience retention, right? So you get people to click onto the video. And just as a quick question, Grant, before we move on, I guess, give us like a number, give us a click-through percentage. What would be like, I mean, every channel is different, but off the top of your head, could you think of like what a good percentage for what click-through rate would be?
Yeah, so a great click-through rate is like 10%. And if you're hitting 15 or something, then you are just like knocking it out of the park. Excellent. It's pretty rare to get above that. It is possible, but your average click-through rate is going to be anywhere from like 1 to 5% in general. Anything I'd say above 5% is you're getting into very above average territory. And this may seem low. This may sound confusing for people, like, oh, it's only 5%. I mean, geez, that sounds like nothing. But keep in mind, so impressions click-through rate is a ratio. So it's how many times times your video showed up on somebody's screen versus how often they clicked through it, how often they actually clicked your video. And that is actually pretty hard to get people to click your video. You know, keep in mind when you look at a YouTube feed, how many videos are available to you at any given time. You know, it's like 100 videos on the screen often. And so it makes sense that the click-through rate would be pretty low. So yeah, those are my numbers.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you think of 10% might seem low to you, but in like the digital marketing world, when we run like banner ads, you know, like the little ads you see like on a website and stuff, those kind of click-through rates are normally like 1%, and those are even lower. And so props to the YouTube algorithm to be able to recommend videos to people and get them to click at a 10% rate, because that's super high and something you wouldn't really see like in the digital marketing world. So, you know, one thing I'll mention too is I heard this in an interview one time is, you know, if you have a video blow up, and I'm talking about like 1 million views and YouTube is recommending it all over the place, your click-through rate will probably be much lower. And it seems a little backwards, but it's due to the fact that YouTube is just recommending it. It's giving you impressions, right? It's giving you tons of impressions, and it's probably even it likes the video so much that it's probably giving you impressions to people they say, would this person like it? Well, I don't really know. They never really watched this kind of video, but we're going to show it to them. We're going to give them that impression because this video is just, the watch time on it or the audience retention on it is just so amazing. So now let's talk about the second metric, audience retention. So this article, it says, you know, YouTube audience retention is super important. And what that is, it's the average percent viewed, right? So let's say you have a 10-minute video. The average percent, let's say 33% of the people that click on your video watch it for 3 minutes and 39 seconds. So that would be your average view duration would be 3 minutes and 39 seconds. And so is this an important metric, Grant? What do you think? Did they make the right call on presenting this in the article?
Yeah, I would say so. It's, you know, this plays into watch time, which again is the most important metric. But audience retention, the nice thing about that is it does give you a percentage here. So, you know, average percentage viewed, when it says 33%, what that means is the average viewer who watches your video watches 33% of your video. And this can give you an idea of how engaging your video was. You know, when you only look at pure watch time versus audience retention, pure watch time only tells you the total amount of minutes watched. So if you have a 3-minute video, you know, your watch time per view is going to be much lower than if you have a 40-minute video. So audience retention is super useful for kind of judging your own video based on its own length and its own merits. So yeah, like and it also, you know, you can see in the picture here within the YouTube analytics, it'll show you where you had spikes or dips in audience retention. Yeah. So parts of your video where people were clicking off, or parts of your video where people were rewinding to rewatch it. You know, you can kind of look at this and get data on which parts of your video are boring or fascinating or what have you.
Yeah, and so you know, that's a great tip right there. So, you know, look at your audience retention, you guys. If you're seeing like a dip, right? In every single video, there's this huge dip where people are just like clicking away or not watching anymore. And then you look back at your video and you're like, oh, guess what? Every time in my videos, every time I say, you know, what's up guys, Augie Johnston here with VidChops.com, blah, blah, blah. And you give a little, maybe you're saying that in every single video. That's part of kind of your script and your flow to your videos. You might want to remove that, right? That might be something you should just take out, and then you could improve your audience retention. And you know, that's how you kind of look at your analytics and actually use your analytics to improve your videos. And here, just to read right off the article, it says, YouTube recommends videos to viewers based on watch time metrics like average APV, which is the average percentage viewed. Try to boost yours to at least 50% so that you can get more views. So you want your average percentage viewed, according to this article, to be 50%. What do you think about that, Grant? Does that seem about right? Does that seem high, low? What do you think?
That is about right. It really depends on how long the video is. So the example in the article is a 10-minute video. I think 50% for a 10-minute video is good. Like that's a good thing to hit. I think most people will have trouble hitting 50%. I would see 50% as a kind of a threshold. You know, if you're able to get at or near that for a 10-minute video, then there's a good chance that if you're doing that consistently, then you're going to succeed. I think it's a good number. It's probably slightly out of reach for the average YouTuber. You know, at least the average YouTuber who is up and coming or who is trying to make it and haven't made it yet. I just kind of wanted to say that to to hedge expectations.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, once you build up a subscriber base, you know, normally your subscribers are going to actually watch your video. Their view duration is going to be longer because they've already, you know, committed. They like your content. Maybe they're looking forward to it and they know what to expect. You know, random viewers, the view duration is normally going to be a little bit lower just because, you know, this first time they're seeing your video, they're not too sure about it at that point. But I think you and I have talked about this in the past a little bit on this podcast. I think we said about 40%, you know, somewhere around there. So they're saying 50. So yeah, shoot for 40 to 50%. And if you hit 50%, then man, that's a great video. And maybe that's a video that you want to make like another video similar to it, right? You say, okay, this topic is hitting. My viewers like this kind of topic. Let me kind of, you know, play off that and understand that that's a bucket, a video topic bucket that I might want to stick with. Okay. So what are some ways that people can improve their audience retention? You know, like, okay, we're talking about what 40, 50%, that's great. But what are some actual tips and tactics that, you know, a listener right here could take away?
So one thing is maybe your videos are too long. The advantage of long videos is there's more of an opportunity for your video to rack up more watch time just because it has more minutes in general that can be watched. However, if you are willing to, within the editing process, kind of only put in the juiciest parts of your video or kind of edit things down, cut out the dead air, you know, whatever that means for your content, you can improve watch time relatively easily. You know, I see there's a lot of channels I consult with where, you know, they have good information and good content, but they haven't really figured out they haven't figured out what exactly their audience is actually looking for. Maybe they ramble too much, or they're kind of just like spending a lot of time just not getting to the point. Yeah. And, you know, get to the point. And maybe you just need to ramble to a camera and then edit it down there. The point is, like, shorter videos can be very helpful if you're noticing that your audience retention is very low. Is just maybe you have a lot of good content, but it's kind of packaged in too much fluff.
Yeah. And that comes with scripting too, right? Like your hook, right? You want to have a good hook to hook them in and that should help your audience retention. And, you know, one thing that I'm going to try when I start creating videos for VidChops again is to cut out like the authority part. Like, you know, a lot of people say like, oh, you should, you know, start your script with a hook, and then you should, you know, do something that keep them hooked. And then after that, you know, you have your little logo stinger, and then you should have your authority, you know, and talk about, you know, why they should listen to you. But I don't really think that's super valuable. I think that's more of like an ego thing where you feel like you need to like give your credentials and stuff. But I don't think people really care about that. I think they just want the goods. So, you know, like you just said, cut out that fluff, keep people engaged. You know, I read somewhere like 30 seconds, like you want to get like 90% of your viewers to watch to 30 seconds. If you can do that, then that's going to help you get your video promoted out through the algorithm and all that kind of stuff. So, all right, those are some great tips, Grant. Let's go ahead and talk about the next metric that they're recommending here. And that is traffic from recommended YouTube videos. So I'll just go ahead and read what they mean by this. It says YouTube recommendations is a critical traffic source on YouTube. As we mentioned above, having YouTube suggest your content to viewers is a massive help. You don't have to do anything because the algorithm does the work for you. By the way, YouTube shows a list of traffic sources for each video. So traffic sources is where are your clicks coming from? Are they coming from recommended? Are they coming from browse, which normally means like homepage? Are they coming from YouTube search? So this is an interesting analytic. I never really heard someone talk about this, but it makes sense to me. What are your thoughts on this being an important metric?
Well, I think it's true that you should try as much as possible to hit recommended videos. The best way to do this is by hitting as many keywords as possible. So this is like very algorithm now. When it comes to click-through rate, there's a big human factor. When it comes to audience retention, there's a big human factor. Is this interesting? Is this entertaining? Is the person watching this or seeing this, are they engaged? This is pure robots. This is all just algorithm.
Yeah.
So this is all SEO, hitting as many keywords as possible. And so, yeah, this is huge. And I think under this umbrella is also YouTube Home here. So YouTube Home, the example that we're looking at, and we're gonna link this in the description, of course. It says YouTube Home, the percentage of views is 71.5% of this example video. That's most of the views are coming from the homepage, and that means if you can please the algorithm and get on the homepage, there's a lot of potential here compared to all of the other traffic sources. So some easy ways to do this are any keywords in your video that you can hit, put it towards the beginning of the title. Make sure you're getting as many keywords that are relevant to your video in the description and in the tags. And you want to triple up. So same keyword in title, description, and tags. That tells the algorithm, this is what the video is about. Please promote me on all things relevant to this. So yes, vital. It's vital.
Yeah, and I think this also, when you look in your analytics and you look through the traffic sources on different videos, this tells you, like you said, which video is YouTube doing all the work for you. Is YouTube this is the one that the algorithm is promoting out, giving you impressions, right, all over the place. I guess I can read through this traffic source for this specific video they're giving the example for. It says traffic sources, how viewers found this video. YouTube recommendations, 79.5% of all the views on this video are coming from YouTube recommendations. And that's on the YouTube homepage, like you mentioned, 71% and then also on the up next, right? So when you watch a video and it ends, up next would be, the videos that they're promoting there, 8% of all the views come from up next. And under this YouTube recommendations, 108,000 views on this specific video came from YouTube recommendations. The next traffic source is called other YouTube features. I'm not sure exactly what that is. Maybe it's, I'm not sure, but just other places that YouTube is recommending it. And that's only 5.5 thousand views. YouTube search. So actually people searching for this video or something related to it, 4% of all the views on this video come from YouTube search. That's 5.5. And then channel pages, that's people actually clicking onto your channel, looking through all your videos, clicking on that thumbnail. 3.4% of all the views, 4.6 thousand views. And then there's other. So if you can get that YouTube video recommended because it has a great click-through rate, it has great audience retention, like we just talked about, and watch time, then YouTube will promote it out, and that is where you want to be, you guys. That is the gold mine. That's got this video 108,000 views. So what does that mean for you? Well, it means that this is a great topic. This is a great, has great audience retention, and you should probably look at this video that's gotten recommended out so much and say, what is the average view duration? Oh, look, it's 50%, or look, it's 45%. So that tells you okay, the next video that I create, this is my benchmark. I'm shooting for this 45%, this 50, whatever it is, this 45%. If I can continuously hit this benchmark with, let's say I had a 10% click-through rate, 45% audience view duration, then if you can hit those benchmarks, then you give your video a good chance to get recommended. Would you agree with that, Grant?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's all of these factors play into this. And I would argue all the factors kind of play into each other even. But as long as you are doing everything possible to make your video work, then you're going to succeed. As long as your content is getting watched a lot, and as long as people are actually enjoying it. Like I really can't stress the importance of YouTube recommendations enough. You can see here, and you obviously touched on this, but YouTube search, a lot of people, they think YouTube search is the most important because I think they just identify with it more. You go into Google, you type in something. So I just wanted to make a very specific note here that search on YouTube is not nearly as important as appealing to the algorithm. The nice thing about search, I think if you're a small channel, is it's relatively, it's easier to hit niches, I guess. So on my personal channel, which gets pretty weird, I have a video called I Went to the Fairy Realm. And that video was released 10 months ago. And it gets 800 views a month just from people searching fairy I don't know, there's just people looking for videos about fairies or something. And it's consistent. It's a slow trickle, but it's there. So you can sort of hit these super niches, but it's not going to be your big break. It's maybe somewhere to start.
Yeah. And I have heard people talk about that. It's a great strategy to start with because, you have 0 subscribers when you start, you have nothing, and you're posting these videos and they're getting 5 views, or if you're lucky, 10 views if you're lucky. But you get a video to rank on search, and at least you have a trickle of views coming in because that search term normally is getting searched, often enough to where, it's consistent stream of views, and then you can build up your subscriber base, and then, you get your 200 subscribers. Then you release a video that's not really a search, it's a search term type video, and it has great click-through rate, has great view duration, and then it gets, promoted, and there's your start. You get your first video with 10,000 views, and you're off to the races. So that's a good strategy to start with. I do agree with that. All right, let's keep this moving on to the next one. This is subscribers gained from each YouTube video. So they're just talking about, how many subscribers you're getting compared to how many views. Do you think this is an important metric?
So yes and no. And the article touches on this, pure subscriber count isn't that important. It's important in the sense that, if you have a lot of subscribers, there's more chances of people to click on you in their subscription feed. Kind of things like that, that are sort of obvious. But actually, there's a lot of people who they subscribe to a YouTube channel and kind of forget about it. They just sort of stop watching the videos. So subscriber count isn't necessarily indicative of a healthy channel. But what this is, subscribers gained from each YouTube video, I do think that is important. It's definitely less important than the first 3 we talked about. Because if there's a lot of people hitting subscribe because of one video of yours, that does tell YouTube that this video is interesting and good enough to where people want more. They're hitting the button to see more of your stuff. So yes, I do think it's important. This kind of talks to the importance of calls to action. Hey, subscribe to this video if you like it. But beyond that, I think there's a reason this is number 4 in the article and not number 1.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think this metric right here is not going to get you recommended. Right. I mean, I don't think it's going to be the main factor that the algorithm says, oh, look, a lot of people are subscribing to this video, I'm going to recommend it out to everybody. It's more on those other things we talked about. And I think you need to be careful as well, because I've seen channels that get hurt from people subscribing to their channel. Because imagine you release a video that's kind of off topic of what you normally release, and everyone's subscribing to that. And then the content you're releasing after that is not really interesting to those subscribers, so they're not clicking, and it's giving you it's lowering your click-through rate and stuff. So you got to be careful to make sure that once you're kind of in a niche, that you kind of stay in that niche and you don't stray too far from it. One thing I will say, and one kind of easy, quick little strategy, is if you do have a video or just look through your videos and see which one is the one where people are hitting subscribe on, and just make that like your home video on your channel, right? Make that like your main video. So when people do land on your channel, they watch it and they're most likely gonna subscribe after watching it, instead of maybe some other one where they just kind of bounce off. So there's a little tip for you right there, is find which video people are subscribing the most to after watching it, and just make that your home video. But other than that, I wouldn't hang my hat on this one. So the fifth one that they say is important is YouTube engagement. And we're talking about comments, likes, video shares. And this is a very interesting one to me, because, you just watch so many videos and they're saying, hey, smash the like button, or leave a comment, or, maybe share this video. And I've always wondered, what's the effect of that? And so how important is this metric, Grant?
It's important. What it tells YouTube is that you have people who genuinely care about what you're posting. Watch time is obviously great, but comments, likes, shares, this means that people are actually willing to put in some amount of effort to engage with your videos or to share them. And this is kind of a big deal. Like, it's surprisingly hard to get someone to put any effort into anything by making them watch a YouTube video. So, just the amount of effort required to like a video. A lot of people they're just like, I'm not going to like this video. It would cost them essentially nothing, but it is still too much. So that sort of speaks to the power of videos that are able to get a lot of engagement, is they're riling people up. They're inspiring them. Maybe they're making them mad, but YouTube might not know the difference. So if you're getting lots of comments, likes, and shares, then this is a sign of an active and thriving community around your videos, which, I would call this sort of like more subjectively successful. It's more qualitative than quantitative. And I think this is sort of YouTube's way of objectively measuring a subjective reaction to a video, comments, likes, shares. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it just shows like the health of your channel, right? Like healthy channels, when people, view them, there's a certain percentage are going to hit like, there's a certain percentage that are going to share them. There's a certain percentage that are going to comment. And I think it also, is just a community building thing, right? I mean, having people leave comments, is that going to help you get recommended and just get you 1 million views? No, probably not. But it is going to bring people back to your channel. It's going to, improve the overall quality of your channel when there's a little bit of a community that interacts, and, you maybe have the same people commenting back and forth and arguing about a topic or something. I think that's healthy for a channel. And I don't know this for a fact, but I think it helps with like channel authority. Like, with Google, you talk about like page rank and all this kind of stuff, like to get your website ranked on Google. I think there's something on YouTube too, where it's like a little bit of like an authority thing. Like, if you're one of the top channels in some niche, and you release a video and you have like a lot of subscribers, that gives you authority. You have a lot of likes and comments all over your channel. I think it does help you get, that initial push by YouTube. There's going to be like an initial recommendation that YouTube will do on a video where, they don't know if there's no watch time. It's a brand new video. But if you are like a popular channel in that niche that has a healthy channel, like I just spoke about, YouTube will give you impressions off the top, even though they don't know if it's a good video yet. But just because in the past you've proven that you have a community, that you are an authority. So I think it helps in that regards. But other than that, I think it is a little bit of a vanity metric where, I don't think it's going to be the number one factor. It's those first things, right? The view duration, the audience retention, the watch time, and the click-through rate, I think is where you want to be. Do you agree with that?
I do, yeah, because, it depends on what niche you're in. There are certain niches that are very personal. You have certain big personalities like, I don't know, PewDiePie, Markiplier, whoever, where I think people feel such a personal connection to them that they're more likely to comment and like a video. And, they're doing it for Mark, they're doing it for Pewds, they're doing it for whoever. Whereas if your content is more faceless, is maybe more like a documentary style, type of thing, then you're probably going to get less engagement just because, even though people are loving what you're doing, they're not necessarily associating it with a person or a face or what have you. So that it doesn't really occur to them to interact with your content in any way. So yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree with that.
So would you say that it's a good move for channels to ask for likes, comments, shares?
Yeah, so as long as you do it in a way that's not annoying or something. So like comments, I think it's always good to ask a question like, hey, well, what did you think about this situation? If you're covering a news story that was kind of controversial, like, what do you think? Do you think that one side was right and the other was wrong? Do you have any personal experiences that kind of made you feel strongly about this situation? I would say ask real questions that you actually want to know the answer to, that you're actually going to read and actually might respond to. And then, yeah, obviously just asking to like the video. It's so easy. Like, why not? And you, just by saying it, you are going to get extra likes. That is a fact. So absolutely, it's worth all of it.
Yeah. And I always crack up when I see videos that say like, and if this video gets 10,000 likes, I'm going to make a part 2 or something like that.
Yep.
And I don't know what the strategy is behind those ones, if that actually does help it. But yeah, that's a pretty common one right there. If this video gets this many likes, then I'll release a part 2 or I'll give away an iPad or something like that. And it'd be interesting to ask people who actually do that if they see a difference.
I'm sure they do. So we have some similar experience with that. We had a sponsorship with Blue, which for those who don't know is a microphone company. I'm actually using their equipment right now. And what they would do is they would give us 3 microphones every couple months to give away. So we would say, hey, if you want a free microphone, then follow us on Twitter, like this video, blah, 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 and we will put you in the running for this. And we actually got a lot of new followers on Twitter and on Instagram and different places. We got more engagement on our videos, and it did help. If you give out cool things, people do they'll show up for sure.
That's cool. That's interesting. All right, brings us to the last metric they're talking about. This metric is new versus returning viewers. And I'll go ahead and just kind of read what they're talking about here. It says, are you obsessed with YouTube channel views? Well, don't limit yourself to tracking video views only. YouTube has a new versus returning viewer metric, and you need it to grow your channel. To see new versus returning viewers, blah, 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 go to YouTube, do all this. So here they're talking about, basically people that have viewed your videos in the past versus brand new viewers. Is this an important metric, Grant?
Yeah, so the article, they put it in a really great way. This is a genius metric because it reflects every YouTube creator's goal, growing an audience while satisfying current viewers. I'll say that again. It reflects every YouTuber's creative goal, growing an audience while satisfying current viewers. So it can be appealing to try to bring in as many new people as possible, as quickly as possible. But keep in mind, if you're achieving success on YouTube, you are accumulating a fan base who is showing up for you consistently. And you do want to appeal to them to a certain extent. Obviously, you want to stay true to yourself. But also, if you notice that you're getting a ton of new viewers and your returning viewers are dwindling, then that could be a sign of many things. It could be a sign that maybe this is just the kind of next chapter for your channel. It could also be a sign that maybe you're selling out to a certain extent. Your core audience is feeling alienated and you're bringing in this new audience, and you should be very mindful of who this new audience is. Are these people you actually want to be making content for in the long run? Or are these people who just kind of happen to be following you for sort of shallow reasons that you're not going to want to make things that appeal to them in a year or 2 or 3? So yeah, I think this metric is deeply important because it shows how engaged your core audience is, and it can show if your channel is growing.
Yeah, and you need impressions for that, right? So you need to do the things that we talked about earlier so that YouTube will give you those impressions that will bring in those new audiences. Because kind of how it works is, you're a YouTube user, you're out there watching some YouTube channel, maybe you're watching another one. And normally the way it works is you're watching kind of all, similar type content, right? You're interested in something, you're a person on this planet who has goals or who's interests in whatever. And you're normally watching multiple channels with that kind of content in that niche. So all of a sudden, there's this new channel that pops up that is in that niche as well. And they're creating awesome videos that people are loving and watching a ton. So YouTube is then going to say, hey, this person watches that kind of content. Let's go ahead and recommend it. And then you go ahead and watch that video and you enjoy it. You're a new viewer. You might subscribe there. And now that person has grown their audience, right? And now they kind of over time maybe become, an authority in that niche as well. And there you go. That's kind of how it works. So, checking to see if you're getting those impressions is important. And if you are getting those impressions, you want to make sure that the video is getting clicked. And it's interesting. The other day I was reading or listening to a podcast or something, and someone was saying something, this is more related to click-through rate, but they were saying if you go back and look at all your videos and look at your analytics and see, oh, look, this video from 4 years ago is getting a ton of impressions still. YouTube is still recommending it and giving it impressions, but the click-through rate is, 1%, 2%. You can actually go back, change the title a little bit, change the thumbnail, and improve that click-through rate. And hopefully that'll bring in get more clicks and then bring in more new viewers, which would be great. That would help you grow. So that's just another quick little tip there. Grant, have you ever tried that? Have you ever tried to change a thumbnail to a video in the past?
Yes. I'm like kind of blanking on specific examples, but I've tried to change thumbnails like soon after we released a video. It's usually kind of the opposite, where it's not that we see YouTube is promoting a video that could be doing better. It's more we would see a video that isn't performing as well as we wanted it to, so we're trying to save it, And yes, like I think switching out thumbnails and titles and all that stuff, if it feels like it's not working, is a good idea. That being said, it's you can also drive yourself crazy obsessing over perfection. Yeah. So it can be delicate, I suppose, but do not be afraid to switch out thumbnails and titles if you think it can help. Yeah, absolutely. Especially, looking at old videos, you'll probably find that no matter what you do, you're going to improve over time. So if you're making your own thumbnails, surely the thumbnails you make day one are going to be way worse than the ones you make, 3 years down the line. So yeah, if you see some old videos that you think could be getting more traction, and you have better skills now, or you have a better team available to you or whatever, then utilize it. Yeah, fix up those old videos and get more views. It's old videos can and do pop off.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that message of the first thumbnails you create, because mine were terrible. And I should go back and fix them, but we'll see. I'm not really active on that channel anymore. But okay, let's go ahead and talk about any other metrics that we might think might be important. Is there any, you already mentioned watch time, so maybe you want to talk a little bit about that, but is there anything else besides watch time, or do you want to talk about watch time?
We've covered watch time a decent amount. As far as other metrics, I do want to stress again the importance of thumbnails. I know I talked about this earlier, but it's usually the last thing that people are thinking about. And I just want to really change people's thinking on this, that not only should it not be the last thing, I would argue it should be the first or second thing that you're thinking about. When I'm working for clients, I can make up to $75 an hour just making thumbnails for people because they're so important. And when I make a thumbnail for somebody that's way better than their previous ones and their click-through rate shoots way up, I've seen it. It makes or breaks channels. Like, you can have videos that are worth watching that people aren't clicking. Thumbnails, people. It's huge. And I'm trying to think of any weird specific analytics that are not talked about quite enough. I think maybe unique viewers is an interesting one. I don't think this article really touched on it, I guess it sort of did. But basically, unique viewers are like how many people are watching your videos that are not repeat. So one-time viewers of a video, basically. I would say if you have a low amount of unique viewers, that actually might be good, because that means that your videos are rewatchable. You know, like you can get double the watch time with only one video. So yeah, if you have a high amount of views and a low amount of unique viewers, that could actually be good, I would say.
Cool. Yeah, I like that tip as well. So, all right, guys, thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you guys learned a thing or two, and don't let the analytics and the metrics and all that kind of stuff overwhelm you. Look at your click-through rate. Look at your watch time, look at your average view duration, and work to improve those. And those are the ones you want to focus on. And thanks again so much for listening. We will catch you guys in the next episode.
Bye, everybody.